Welcome to Epic Fail, episode number 109. Before we get started tonight, we want to take a shout out to our Patreon supporters, Craig, Joseph, Mickey, Flashgoth, Cuddles, and anyone who has made a donation. We appreciate you very much. Thank you for letting us continue to fail.
Warning, this show may contain mature language and is not suitable for small children, pets, or blood elves.
You're now listening to the Epic Fail Podcast.
Greetings and welcome to Epic Fail number 109, the show that we just talk about, Blizzard stuff and why we like, dislike, make fun of both Blizzard games and ourselves. I am Driven Dresden, El host. Why am I talking like partially Spanish? I don't know. I was going to try to do an English accent just because of I got it delayed here.
You're pointing the wrong way.
I'm pointing, okay.
There, all right, down a little. There you go. Perfect.
Because of that. I was going to do an English accent because of that, but I can barely do an English accent, let alone a British. So, obviously, we have some of the co-hosts at least. Do we have everybody? Let's find out. Scarlett from Canada, are you with us tonight?
No. Why would I be with you?
Okay, I was just making sure.
Guess what I did this week?
Well, I know one thing that happened this week.
What's that?
Possibly two things, depending on how today went. I don't know. I'll let you tell it, because you'll have a more interesting story than I will give you.
I spent 350,000 gold.
What the
That was half my gold.
Were you in Ironforge at the time?
Yes.
Were you in the back of Ironforge at the time?
Yes.
All right, now this sounds dirty.
Were you talking to a dwarf while you were in Ironforge? Of course you were.
I was.
Were you in the library?
Yes.
Were you in the library?
Was there a donkey involved?
No. So FYI, upgrading your heirlooms to 110 costs a fuck ton of gold. Pardon my language, you'll have to bleep that out. And that wasn't even everything. That was literally just the leather, the plate, and the cloth heirlooms. Just to 110. Most of them were 90, and I did a couple of the rings, but not all of them, and not all of the neck pieces either, and definitely none of the weapons yet. So it's still going to cost me another at least 300,000 to get all the weapons and the rest of the stuff maxed. But on the
question
good
for
news,
you. I have a serious question for you.
what?
Why are you upgrading the weapons?
No, I said I'm not at the moment. If I want to, because I imagine next expansion we're going to probably want to use heirloom weapons, potentially, instead of grinding an artifact for a few levels. I don't plan on doing artifacts next expansion unless they take them in there, but they already said they're not, so... But I got my druid to level 108 from 101, and I got my monk to 102, so I may as well just level it and get the other artifact weapon instead of re-rolling a gnome and then boosting, but I'll probably race change to a gnome. So I did some invasion leveling with the heirlooms, which works out good. You know what really helps if you're leveling an alt?
Flying.
Flying, yes. Also, putting your skills on your action bar. My druid, I leveled through a whole 2 invasions, and I was like, oh my god, this is painful. My druid is undergeared, sure. But then I'm like, let me check. And so I checked on Icy Veins what I should be using, and like I only had like 3 skills out of what I should have had. And once I put the rest of the skills on my bars, I lived a lot longer, and it was much easier. But I also did get a mount.
Mm-hmm.
The Infinite Time Reaver mount.
Yeah.
And I also got another mount. I got Eula, the daughter of Yulon mount.
Oh, I already have that one. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. So, I have almost everything. This is really weird. I have now all the mounts except for the original Burning Crusade Dragon Hawk thingy that's really ugly. And I have all the toys except for one pet. So I literally am missing one mount and one pet, and then I have everything from all the time walking.
Okay, from time walking. I thought you were going to say you had all of them.
No, I still have like 100 toys left if I want all of them. I did, though, spend an extra $50K on the auction house on pets, and I bought the 2 Chromie pets because chances are I'll get them, but I wanted them now, and I don't want to wait for RNG, so I bought them. They were like $19K.
Mary, she wants a
15K.
golden goose now.
Exactly. And yes, as Yuta says, everyone important has that mount. So, you know. But anyways, there's also just a little bit of a PSA, and then I'll let you guys talk. Just disclaimer, if anybody has old alchemy recipes, I would be willing to pay a lot of gold for them. As in, if you can make me the stuff, and then I'm sure we'll talk about that later. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Siri, how have you been this week?
Because I'm muted. I did not spend a $500,000 gold on heirlooms, and
350 wasn't half.
plus the pets and mounts that you said you just bought afterwards. Okay, so you already talked about the fact that it doesn't make any sense to get the weapons because heirloom weapons to 110 makes no sense when the cap's 110 and you use your artifact weapons. But when you can get almost an entire level on one invasion, and invasions happens once every 18 hours or something, what do you need the heirlooms for? I don't get it. Okay, so you talked about going from 101 to 109 on one of your characters. How long did it take you to do that, Scarlett?
3 hours, maybe.
Oh, you got 8 levels in 3 hours?
So the invasion gave me, I did 2 invasions, which was like 2.5 levels, 2 levels-ish with the, because if you have all your heirlooms on, that's like 100% more EXP. There's like almost 10 EXP heirlooms.
I think it's 55, but keep going.
Whatever, it's a lot. And I was rested, and I went from 102 to 105 doing that, and then I did Azuna? Was it Azuna? No, Val'Sharah. The entire zone.
Okay, so you quested for a zone and you did 2 invasions. So it was 3 hours time played, not 3 hours total. Then.
Yeah, time
Okay.
played, of course.
All right. So.
Yeah, that's so.
I
Tricky
got,
said he gets 2 levels per invasion with upgrades and rested EXP.
Yeah, which is pretty good because you get about 80 to 90% on an invasion without that, depending upon how many extra mobs you kill. However, there's certain invasions, which I'm not going to go into crazy details of, that you can just kill a mob multiple times and get XP and get 3 levels in an hour on. I'm just going to leave that there. And that's without heirlooms. But yeah, so I don't think I'm going to waste crazy amounts of gold on that, because if you think about it, you basically just spent $50 to $60 American on heirloom gear.
Yeah, but I didn't pay real money for it.
Cool, you had it, but it's still worth something to you in the game. That's my
Yeah,
point.
but I mean, as my friend said, what else is WoW Gold there for? I mean, yeah, I want the spider mount. However, at the same time, with class mounts, I'm never going to use the spider mount. So I may as well just like not worry about getting it for the numbers, especially because I have the 300 mounts now, and then just
Okay.
level my characters easier.
Well, we're
Plus,
gonna-
the druid
350
was wearing
mount.
the druid was wearing eye level like 590 to 600 gear because it had the level 90 boosted gear on it. So it was kind of painful. Was it 90 or 100? Whatever. It was very painful. I had like 550 health in bear form.
So yeah, not to beat
Without
that into
arrows.
the ground. There's other things that you could use that gold on, like Diva skins, all kinds of loot boxes from Overwatch or maybe even Destiny 2. But to continue on, this week I actually was off with CTM, so we did not raid. Everyone did not raid. I should take that back. They've actually got, if you ever heard of them, No Big Deal, and they changed their name to Axis, who was one of the guilds on our server that was actually doing really well. They weren't quite up with Alone, but they were kind of on their heels. They were 9 of 10 mythic up until their team split up. About, I want to say around 8 of their people have now trialed with CTM, and I believe most of them actually passed their trial already. So because of that, this week, myself as well as Tatva and a few of the other people actually were allowed to kind of sit and have a week off, which was kind of cool, especially getting ready to go into TOS. So I enjoyed that. We full cleared normal and then did last 2 bosses in heroic with the fire department this week, which was cool. We did that just because of the class changes that went in, so people could get used to it. Didn't really seem like anybody was having a problem. Almost everybody was putting up decent numbers, a little bit of change here and there, but nothing drastic. Obviously, Drought of Souls was felt by a couple of people, including myself. Nerf, but not a crazy nerf. So instead of peaking at 2 or 3 million, I peaked at 1 or 2 million, and then fell back down to where I would have before. So it wasn't really that big of a difference. But a few other people were a little bit lower. The chickens this week actually got their ahead of the curve, like a day late. When the patch came out, we went in and killed Gul'dan, so that was pretty exciting for them. A lot of people from fire department helped out with that. They've been kind of going with them for a while anyway, so that was pretty cool for a normal team to basically clear heroic in the time constraints. Pretty neat. Personally, a lot of work, a lot of WoW, a little bit of Rocket League before the show, and a little bit of Overwatch as well. But what about you, Draven? How was your week?
Well, it's been mostly gaming-wise. WoW, some heroes. I'm still keeping to. I'm not going to touch Hero League right away because I know how messed up stuff is right now. Same with Overwatch. When the new season starts, I wait a little bit before I do my placements. I got Concordance on 2 out of the 3 specs for my Paladin. I am literally on the last point. Like, this point goes into Concordance on my Holy spec.
So tell everyone why you're doing this.
I am doing this not because I want to heal. In fact, don't ask me to heal. It's kind of like making me give out loot. Things end badly.
That's
Back
for
to last
sure.
week. The way the Paladin, the class mounts work, you do your quest, you get 1 for free. And then you can buy 1 for each spec. And you can use them out of spec. So I could use my Prot 1 and Ret as long as I bought it. But in order to be able to buy it, I need Concordance with that spec's weapon. Well, Ret has 2 or 3 points in it. Prot has 1, and Holy is on. I have to put the point in as soon as I get the points for it, and I'm about halfway there. So fun. And then I can start working on, my Mage, Demon Hunter, Death Knight, Shaman, Warrior, and all the other alts that I want to finish taking through. No new 110s yet this week. This week was my slow down on it because it's the last one before next week, which is the new raid. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just kind of slow down because I don't want to be so burnt out that I'd only show up and raid and that's it. So, I'm still logging in, doing daily and stuff like that, but I'm not like go 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 even on the alts for the invasions. I did notice. Excuse me. I did notice that there's a weird either bug or something going on with the invasion quest where you're not everyone's getting the same number. Like my paladin will see every single one. My mage, I think, got 5. My death knight got 4, and all my lobies each got 4 for the world quest for the invasion instead of the usual 6. My paladin was the only one that got all 6. So I don't know what's going on there, if it's like rep based or map explore based or what. But
you're queued because my druid didn't have anything and it had the 6.
Yeah. I had the same thing. When he was talking about that, I tested it and I was able to see everything on 2 different characters.
Yeah. Like whenever I could see him on some, but not on all. But it's just one of those things. And I'm not the only one it's happening. Glitch. It's possible, but I turned all the add-ons off because I went to do it on Tuesday and all the add-ons were out of date, except for a couple. So I just turned everything off, and that was a pain in the neck to begin with. But yeah, it was just I don't know.
Now, I have noticed it before, even on 110s, when you go to do an invasion spot, there may only be like 3 or 4 at first, but as soon as you start doing them, they seem to kind of pop in. I'm betting it's some type of map glitch, like not necessarily an add-on glitch, but a map glitch in the game. It's just not telling you that there's some out there for some reason, and because of that, the add-ons aren't catching it either. But yeah, it was weird. I tested it right when you said that. If you guys were in our Discord, you would have seen it. What else did you do this week?
Well, just before the show, a little bit, I was playing HOTS with Heroes, with Tour Arts and the CTR people. And we were just for the, fundraiser for the party type stuff. And we were trying to keep it as PG and PG-13 as possible, but someone kept making this just comments that just barely pushed it to the edge, and someone else would say something and everyone would take it the wrong way and laugh, and it was funny.
Was this
so that was you?
Huh?
We both said it was you.
Actually, I only took it to the edge once, and then Tour Arts actually took it the wrong way, and I was like,
"That's what she said."
That was PG-13 comment there. But yeah, you'll have to go check that out. If I remember, I'll put it in the links.
Wow! Thank you, Norman, for your donation. Just happened. Sorry, keep going.
Oh. Thank you. And then, other than that, leveling my second character, I did a couple team league matches. I'm 2-0 on my second account, so I'm going to use that as my definitely want to progress as high as I can account, just because I don't have the MMR fail from the early learning how to play the game kind of thing. Now it's just learning the new heroes. And then Overwatch, I've been sticking to the arcade. I don't really play quick play, and I don't play competitive hardly ever, so.
I'm sorry, I was just laughing at Tricky with his "that damn turtle has more money than me." That was a really really funny comment.
My phone's battery has more money than him, and comes more prepared to raid too.
Ouch!
Damn!
Ouch!
Boom!
I guess this is payback for the loot issue the other week. But before we get too deep in that, was there anything else that you wanted to say before we start on the news? Because we do have a little bit to talk about.
No, I'm good. That's pretty much been my week.
All right, so to quench that fire, let's go ahead and look at a bumper for some Blizzard news. This is the Blizzard news you can use. All right, so this week we
I got
say
a question,
goodbye.
Theory.
Uh-oh.
Before you get it, I got a question.
Damn.
Are you down with PvP?
Apparently not anymore. I was, I think, maybe. I don't know. Blizzard has quit, kind of. Oh my God! What?
I'm sorry. Our troll was so bad.
Okay. Apparently they like male anatomy. Anyway, so now that we've totally derailed, let's bring it right back. Holinka,
Can you do me a favor and take chat off screen?
Yeah.
Or clear it or something?
Why you can't handle
Because
this?
it's not. It won't go away on your.
It's male anatomy, and it comes on there too, so that's not going to work either. Hold on.
All right. Well, then don't worry about it too much.
I wouldn't be all that worried about it.
That's what she said.
So anyway, Holinka has now left Blizzard. Not really. He
Incorrect.
actually just left WoW. He is being moved to the unnamed project that is sucking up all of the other well-known World of Warcraft type of folks at Blizzard. Are you guys, are you surprised at all by this?
Kind of, but not really. I mean, they seem to be taking all the former leaders, with the exception of, well, I guess, okay, so Chitlin is over there now. He was on WoW. Holinka was head of PvP.
Let's
over
just
there
say
now.
everyone is
Rowdy.
there except for Jeff from the Overwatch team, and they better not move him from Overwatch because that would just be
No,
sad.
he's too much. He's too associated with Overwatch at the moment to move him, and it's too new.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised because PvP for WoW has been kind of on an upswing, and I definitely feel like his presence has been felt this past year or so, definitely. But I don't feel like it's at a pinnacle. And it usually feels like when these people move to different positions, it's when they've reached kind of new heights. And it seems like there's much further to go with PvP and WoW for me, but maybe that's just my opinion.
I actually, it could be so on Reddit, which I know Reddit is not the authority on the general population, but everybody was clapping basically that he was gone. Nobody was sad, and they were saying that now PvP will have a chance to be better. So I think a lot of people disagree.
Well, okay, first off, he's not the only person working on PvP stuff at all.
Correct.
The
That
only
basically they
thing-
were saying that he's the one to veto things, so
The only thing we can confirm he did to PvP for this expansion was the separate talent tree. Outside of that, balance-wise, he might have veto, but he probably honestly doesn't use it all that much. Outside of, no, that map won't work. Or something like that. Like little minuscule things. They have a balance team and he's not on.
Yeah,
So
but-
outside of the tree, you know,
Well, the positive things he's done have been felt big time, I think. The negative things that most people complain about, yes, I don't think he has much to do with. He's more of an overall larger viewpoint, top-down type of a director at this point. He's not a minuscule, this is how this works, kind of person, at least in his previous position. So it makes no sense for people to really be pissed off at him, especially with the way that PvP in general and WoW has really gotten better. Yeah, we don't have our own version of Wintergrasp or the other one. I forget the name of it. Tolbarad, or the other one. I forget the name of that one too.
Ashran.
Was there,
Yeah,
oh,
that's it,
Ashran.
Ashran. I mean,
Well,
it-
Ashran was his kid, though.
You're right, but they didn't really notice that there's not really a version of that in current WoW. So, like if you were a big fan of that, you might not be real happy about it right now, but the other things involved with PvP have done really well. Like the last few World of Warcraft arena tournaments have had more people watch them than they've ever had in a really long time. So the health of WoW PvP is not at a low point right now. It's kind of back on an upswing. And that's really what they should be doing, in my opinion, is trying to build WoW PvP into more of an esport, which seems like that's what they were doing.
Yeah, I never had an issue with him, but I didn't PvP all that often. But what I saw out of the complaining people, you fix this class, and I'm like, I know people who are really good at it. So maybe if you stop sucking, they wouldn't have to fix the class.
Absolutely. But people are always going to complain like that.
Yeah, he got a lot of a flack that he honestly didn't deserve. Whether you liked him or not, whether you know, thought he was doing the job properly, that's up to you. I never had an issue with him. PvP seems more balanced now than ever. And now with those separate talent trees that you unlock as you level, someone's overpowered in PvP, I don't need to worry about getting nerfed in PvE because they can adjust something over there. So I'm all for that.
Do you
That makes
think that
sense.
this means that with all these really good people that got moved to the unnamed project, that maybe at BlizzCon they may just drop a bomb on us and release another huge Overwatch style IP on us or something like that? I'm getting that feeling.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
So.
you're going to get that level of a bomb. Not yet, anyway. It's definitely leaning towards that way. I'm thinking there's going to be some kind of a mobile device because they are hiring for mobile people. And I don't know if that's their super secret project or not. So they might be doing two things at once. Who knows? But I would not be surprised if they put, a couple people on the mobile for like a mobile MMO type thing, which is possible.
Right.
They're out there. And then they also were doing something else, like probably Warcraft 4, because a lot of the people, they wanted Warcraft for a couple of the things. So you never know. I am fully expecting at least 2 quote-unquote bombs to get dropped at BlizzCon.
I agree, and I definitely think there is some mobile going on, but I don't feel like mobile's it. Like the amount of people that they've put over there, there's a tremendous amount of people for it to just be something mobile. Even if it's a mobile MMO, that's a lot of people for a mobile game. So anyway, while you two both show off your PvP EPing, let's move to a new topic. So you heard me earlier talk about Scarlet being able to spend her gold for Destiny. This week they actually announced a release date as well as opened up pre-orders. So
And the token jumped up 30K that day.
Yep. So
Shocker, I know.
if you know you're going to play this, it is a good time to go ahead and do it, because honestly, the closer the game gets, the token's probably going to go up even more. It is coming out on October 24th, so you got some time. Console release is September 6th, so it is, about almost 3.5, 4 weeks out from the console release. But you can pre-purchase it now. It's $59.99 for the standard edition, $89.99 for the standard edition plus expansion passes, and $99.99 for the digital deluxe edition. But you can
Which also includes the expansion stuff.
Exactly. But you can use your WoW Gold to buy tokens for your Blizzard balance in order to purchase it if you don't want to spend cash. Now, this thing I don't understand. You're going to have to explain this to me on this next slide, because what is this Titan and Warlock and Hunter and Kayad 6? Is this the different classes?
Okay, so
Yeah.
yes, that's Cade 6. That's the Nathan Fillion character that whenever they
Right.
announced it, I had you put on there. That's him.
Okay.
So that's that.
So these are
but-
these are characters.
Well, Titan, Warlock, Hunter are all classes that we have to pick from. They're not exactly the same as Warcraft, like Hunter and Warlock, but
Gotcha. So it's just the 3 classes, and then there's 3 main characters on the screen here?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then it talks a little bit about the digital deluxe and the expansion pass, as well as the premium digital content that you can get. So it kind of sounds like they went all in on this, and I definitely feel like if it's something you're interested in, you definitely should consider using your Battle.net balance.
See,
Yeah, I'm looking at that. Like, do I want to play? Because I want to kind of try the game, but I don't know that I want to spend $60 to try a game because it is a shooter, and I've got Overwatch for that, and I'm terrible at it.
Well, think about it this way.
This has PVE in it too.
So doesn't that not $60 equate to about 400,000 gold right now, approximately?
no. If the WoW token is 130,
Right. So that's $390 for $60. So that's 400,000 gold.
but it buys you $15, not
Yeah.
20.
Oh, so
you
that's
need to
how
get
they
4
make that
tokens.
money. So you need 4 tokens,
Yeah, it's like 600,000.
half a million gold. That's, I don't know.
So, but see, to me, in WoW, the heirlooms are much more valuable than trying Destiny or whatever it's called.
Given the fact that it's so
there's
easy
so
level right now,
many-
I don't agree.
Like, well, there's like my computer probably won't handle it. There's so many between getting stuff done in Overwatch, between getting stuff done in Hearthstone and WoW, etc.
Well,
It's like I want to play Diablo, but I don't have time.
we probably won't agree on this, but my part of the argument is more of I don't really think you need heirlooms right now. Is more of where my argument stems from. If you don't want
But
to play
even if
Destiny,
you-
whatever.
Even if you put the heirlooms aside, and let's say I didn't spend it on it, to me the spider mount is still worth more than Destiny.
I don't see myself ever buying the spider mount.
There's also a pet that I want. It's a celestial pet. It's 1 million gold.
I don't see me buying a million gold pet
Yeah,
either, ever. No.
It all comes down to what you are invested in, what you want to use
Yeah.
your in-game money for or real-life money for. In my case, there's really not a whole lot of non-super expensive mounts that I'm interested in because I refuse to pay $2 million for that freaking spider. At least until, a couple expansions from now and you get $2 million for a quest reward, then I'll buy it.
You're never gonna get 2 million for a quest reward.
I'm exaggerating.
Yeah.
But my point is, do I want to spend my gold to try this game that I might try for an hour, if that? Because I've never played Destiny.
Yeah.
It's a shooter. The only shooter I've ever played and stuck with at all has been Overwatch.
I could definitely see wanting to try it, but at this point, like literally $500,000 gold is not worth $60 to me. I'd rather just pay the $60.
Yeah,
That
it
makes
depends.
sense.
I mean, if like in my case, I can do the $500,000 gold, get the game, and my gold count will significantly suffer from that. But I've got it, and it's not like I'm not doing much else beyond that.
Yep.
So it's not that big of an issue. It's just more of a, is it really worth it to try a game that I may or may not like?
True, and the fact of the matter is people play differently. Like, for example, Destiny just sold a ton of Obliterum this week, so she made a buku amount of gold because of that, and maybe some of our listeners did the same thing this week, which is smart, honestly. If you're the type of auction house player, knowing what the changes are that they just did, you can make a lot of money right now in gold, or at least this past week. You could have, but I don't play the game that way, and I don't think you two play the game that way either. But I know
I
there's a lot of
did
people
for a
who do.
little bit during Wrath, and I made enough gold at that time that I'm fine.
Yeah. All right, so we ready to transition into WoW? We kind of already did.
Yeah.
We're not talking about WoW.
No. We were talking about Destiny
Destiny.
there for a bit.
Destiny
Pre-order.
and Destiny.
Yeah. If you want the pre-order, go over there, sign up for it. If you sign up early enough, you get early access to the beta, and then early access into the game, I believe, by like 2 days.
You do. Yes, it did say that on the slide that we showed. But let's jump into some WoW.
Warning, this show may contain mature language and is not suitable for small children.
That was the wrong one. Let's try that again. That's my second fail tonight, I think. Here we go. There we go.
World of Warcraft.
So stuff happened this week in WoW. Javen, what happened?
There's lots of stuff that happened. Depending on what you're going for, I could name a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna guess you're talking about what's happening is going to happen Tuesday, and that is when we all become Lara Croft.
Yes, we'll be Tomb Raidering the tomb as we're raidering.
Yeah.
But that wasn't it. That wasn't all. What else happened this week?
Well, this week we found out that the armaments in Tomb for the title and all that fun stuff, the achievement thing that you get usually a mount, the armaments which were transmog stuff are gone.
We found that out last
We
week.
learned that last week.
But we found out what we're getting this week.
What are we getting?
We're getting a title and a mount, same as normal.
Oh, I didn't see the
they
mount.
said no mount.
What's the mount?
They haven't told us what it is yet, but it is a title and a mount.
Interesting.
Because they specifically said there is not going to be a mount.
That was when they were doing the armaments. Then they got rid of the armaments. It is now a
No,
title
during
and a
the
mount.
Q&A last
Q&A,
week.
he actually said there wasn't going to be one.
According to the data miners, there is a title and a mount. Beyond that, what happened this week? Scarlet got OP, and not her personally. It's her character.
Damn.
Vengeance Demon
Gee,
Hunter.
thanks.
It was all
I'll
Vengeance
just
Demon
go
Hunters.
sit over here in a corner.
I wasn't saying you weren't OP prior to. I'm saying your class got more OP as is.
Yes, and actually some of this just happened this evening. If you happen to be a Vengeance Demon Hunter, you could realistically roll into high-end Mythic Plus and out DPS all of the DPS in your run by a significant margin by using Spirit Bomb. How many Vengeance Demon Hunters were in that 19, Scarlet, that you were talking about?
5. It was only Vengeance Demon Hunters.
Yeah, I don't think that should work in a 19 personally, so I think this is
No.
well deserved.
Exactly. I agree with that, and I am sad. But I honestly think even with the nerf, it's still going to be the viable
I would agree.
way to play the spec.
33% still puts them almost even with most DPS. So that's not that big of a nerf. So I'd be interested to see what happens. I actually last night after we were talking about this, I was on watching. There's a streamer that I like named Quinn. Quinn Rat. He used to stream tons of Diablo. If you've never heard of him, he's pretty funny. He's from Australia, New Zealand, and he literally played Prot Pally with 4 900 plus Vengeance Demon Hunters, and they rolled through a 17 no problem. Now he was off healing a little. And when I say a little, it was like 400k heals, and he was still doing like 500 or 600k DPS as a Prot Pally, which is really good. But he's a really good paladin. But literally all 4 of the Vengeance Demon Hunters that were with him were destroying his DPS, doing 1.5 million each for most of the dungeon. The only time they dipped down a little lower is when it was a single target fight, and then it was still over 1 million, but not quite that high. So it's a nerf, but I still feel like you're going to be pretty strong as far as the DPS goes.
So this reminds me back in Burning Crusade, and I call it the great buffing that Rhett got for a week or a month or however long it was. Because no one wanted a Rhett Paladin for anything because they were considered garbage back then. Now, I'm not saying that's the case here with Vengeance Demon Hunter, but the comparison here is someone misplaced a decimal point, and Rhett became literally an unstoppable killing machine. Our self regen was just too high. You couldn't do anything to us. I soloed heroics like 80% of the boss, and my health never dropped like below 50%, and then it just right back up multiple times. And people were like, "How are you doing that?" I was like, "I got buffed."
Yeah, that was.
And this is back before I was any good at the game.
That was a very bad week if you were not a Rhett Paladin and you were on the Isle of Keldanaz or however you say it, and
yeah.
you'd get
If you were
owned.
cheese Danish,
What?
I call it the Isle of Cheese Danish.
Yeah, Keldanaz.
How
Anyway,
does Caldanos even sound like she's Danish?
I don't know. I'm probably not even pronouncing it right. I don't know how you pronounce that island.
It does. What difference does it make? It's a funny name for an isle that already had a funny name.
That's true. So
Makes a difference.
I have a theory on this, no pun intended, that I want to visit. But before we do, let's talk about some of the other changes they announced tonight. Now obviously, damage of all abilities reduced by 5% for Vengeance, as well as the Spirit Bomb nerf of 33%. Sorry about the dogs barking in the background. Survival Hunter, damage of all abilities increased by 3%. Arcane Mage, damage of all abilities increased by 3%. Fire increased by 3%. Brewmaster Stagger now has 40% effectiveness against magic. It was 50, so that's a slight nerf. They're still pretty OP, though. Rep Paladin, damage of all abilities increased by 3.5%. Shut up, murder. Priest, Discipline.
No, hold on. We just got buffed, and apparently we didn't get buffed enough.
You said we just got buffed, but every other rep paladin I know was complaining about how horrible it was, including Quinn. So continuing, Priest, Discipline, Evangelism now has a duration of 6 seconds, was 7, slight nerf. Elemental Shaman, damage of all abilities increased by 3%. Smoldering Heart, proc chance now 10% per 100 Maelstrom spent, was 20. So I think that's a buff and a nerf. Affliction Warlock, damage all abilities by 5%. Destruction, damage all abilities increased by 5%. I think that's to make up for Demo being a little bit ahead. Arms Warriors, Trauma can no longer critical strike. Damage of all abilities reduced by 4. So, back to my theory. Before I take this graphic off, see that Arms Warrior one? Damage of all abilities reduced by 4%. And the Vengeance Demon Hunter, damage of all abilities reduced by 5. Spirit Bomb reduced by 33. This is my theory. They purposely took 2 classes and specs that were underrepresented and buffed them through the roof to try to get people excited about them, to play them, knowing they were going to nerf them. This is my conspiracy theory, and I think they did the shit on purpose. Sorry for the language. And I don't think you can convince me otherwise, because they have a tendency to do this every single time there is a class or spec that is underrepresented and they want people to play it.
But were Vengeance Demon Hunters underrepresented? I'm not disagreeing with you. I kind of think that, because how would the Spirit Bomb not have got noticed on PTR?
It was noticed on PTR.
Exactly.
So...
But I don't see Demon Hunters being that underrepresented.
They definitely are, and especially in high-end rating, they are considered the 5th or 6th worst tank. They're the 2 that pretty much none of the top 100 raid teams will be using, even with the Spirit Bomb buff through the roof and now slight nerf. They're still considered to be one of the 2 worst, and Warrior's the other one.
Interesting.
Now, they have been and are considered to be one of the best for Mythic Plus, but not the best for rating. Draven, what do you think?
I wouldn't put it past Blizzard to do something like that. Like, I already can tell you they do exactly that in, well, every MOBA game does that with the new hero. They put them out really what they consider to be overpowered, hopefully, and then they nerf them back down because they want people to buy them. So doing that in WoW would make sense, but is this tinfoil hat? I mean, if you were going to go that way, I need to go in the other room and get some tinfoil and put it on my head, because
that's kind of where I'm going.
Funny.
That's kind of where I'm going. I honestly feel like they've gotten to the point now where their balance changes for the most part without ruining class. Not even fantasy, but how the classes make themselves different from everything else. I guess that is class fantasy. Without ruining that, they've gotten so good at balance compared to how they were in the past that they will purposely buff something so much in order to get someone to recognize, hey, this is kind of cool. Because after people play Vengeance Demon Hunter, when Spirit Bomb is nerfed through the roof for a week or 2, they may actually like it and stay playing it just because they like the way it plays. And the same thing happened with Monk. If you remember at the beginning of this expansion, Monk was considered for tanking one of the worst ones to play. And then all of a sudden, halfway through Emerald Nightmare, everybody's like, no, actually, Monk's pretty good. But everybody had already put all their points and time into their other characters, so nobody wanted to switch yet. But then as soon as it became decently okay to switch for an alt, you started seeing them again, and now they're considered like the best tank.
Well, okay, so in terms of monk, and the same is going to go with a bunch of classes and specs. A lot of them are gear dependent. You need certain gear before they get good. Like, look at since I'm able to talk legitimately about it. Rhett, you don't have enough gear on it. Rhett is a piece of trash, and there's no ways to look around that. If you don't have a certain percentage of haste, crit, mastery, versatility, then if you're not up to a certain point, you are garbage. You are wasting a raid spot if you're in a raid. I mean, you can play it if you want, but if your team is pushing, you're not going to get a spot until you have that gear.
Except for your wisdom. All your healers want your wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, there are reasons to take it, but you're not going to be any competitively DPS wise, and if you're not high enough on the DPS chart, even wisdom isn't going to be enough to get you a top 100 team if your spec can't perform. But
I would agree. But I mean, we're talking about equally geared classes at this point. They're still fairly darn competitive when you get equally geared from current tier right now, and that's why I feel like this is probably on purpose. By the way, Galv, that graphic I pulled, I'm not sure if it was missing DK changes, but I'm going to check for you right now. But overall, I mean, do you guys disagree? Do you agree? Do you think maybe possibly this was on purpose?
I kind of think so. It's like when you're training your dog something and you literally have to stick their face in it to get them to try food or something, and then they're like, oh, this is good, let's eat it all. Kind of the same way, or like little kids who don't want to do something, and then you
is that like when you get your cat a new food bowl and you stick their head in it and pour food on the top of their head? That's food boarding.
I didn't stick the cat. I didn't stick the cat's head in there. I poured the food in there. The cat's like, oh, what's that? And stuck his head in there while I'm still pouring the food, but yet they run away because they don't actually want to eat out of the new food bowl. So I didn't waterboard my cat with cat food, although...
Food board, not waterboard. Completely different.
I do actually sort of waterboard my cat because that's how I get them to stop fighting, but now he likes it. So if I shook this water bottle, he would come running over and try to drink from the water bottle because he now likes water so much.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt the cat waterboarding, food boarding. There is no notes for DK. I think they're pretty happy with DK. However, this does say that this is the expected changes that should happen on June 20th. However, I'm pretty sure some of them have already been hotfixed, i.e. Spirit Bomb. But yeah, the only other thing that was not on the graphic that we showed is a change to the Ret Paladin tier 22 piece and a change to the Brewmaster Monk tier 22 piece, which we don't even have those yet, so okay.
Wait, they already did nerf the Spirit Bomb? Are you sure?
If it hasn't happened yet, it's happening very soon from what I saw in Twitterverse.
Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Well, Tuesday is the 20th, so that's
it needs a full reset. It needs a full maintenance reset type thing. They can't just bring the server down real quick and restart it. They need to bring it down.
Scarlet, that means that before Tuesday, the Mage Tower is going to be up. You need to go get your challenge done.
My goodness.
If you're a Vengeance Demon Hunter, now is the time to beat your challenge, because you should be able to beat it if you're decent and like 890 or higher.
Speaking of
45% built, you think we're going to get 55% between now and Tuesday?
Yeah. It'll be up tomorrow.
If there's enough Vengeance Demon Hunters out there, yeah.
Well, the reason
they're going to be hurrying up and get it before.
Yeah, trust me, it'll be up late tomorrow, and it's going to be because the other ones are already done or destroyed, so no one can put their points anywhere else anyway.
So
700 things. I'm going to fill it up right now.
Oh, by the way, on that topic, since you brought that up and it's not in our notes, take advantage right now. One of the easiest ways to get your legendaries that you don't have is to turn in on the table. Every time you actually get one of those little bags for turning it on the table, you have a higher percentage drop rate from those than you do in anywhere else to get a legendary. Most of the streamers I've seen that have been trying to take advantage of it are getting one Lego from every 10 that they open.
Damn.
I got one for my holy spec a couple days ago.
Yep.
I was not happy.
Yep. So,
But what I was going to say was, in typical WoW player fashion, the one thing we could put points in at the time was the Nether Disruptor, because we saw what the buff would be, and that is, here's some coin. If you spend your coin and you don't get anything, you have a chance of getting it back. Something that sounds like it would be really good come Tuesday.
yep.
So in typical WoW player fashion, we hurried up and built it, and it'll be
It's
gone.
going to be gone
on
by Tuesday. Yeah, that was not smart of us. Yay, North America.
Yeah, I was putting all my points in the command center
So
because I was trying to not get the Nether Disruptor until Tuesday.
yeah.
But
Well, speaking of knowledge, lack thereof, or building some, if you have been building your artifact knowledge and you haven't hit 40 yet, they have buffed, or I should say nerfed, the time it takes to do so.
just a little bit. Instead of taking multiple days per level, if you keep up on it and get in there every 3.5 hours, we'll call it 3:45 just to round up a bit. You can get from 26 to 40 in literally 2.5 days. That's
They want
checking in.
everyone to have 40 knowledge, don't they?
Yeah, it's a
Well,
super
is-
catch-up mechanic.
It's a catch-up mechanic, it is. But what it is they got so many complaints about it's almost required at this point to get a certain number of points in your artifact to do anything, such as getting concordance for the mounts. In a lot of the specs cases. In my case, I have to get concordance in all 3 specs to get all the mounts. Warlocks, I think, have the same thing and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And thus it is incredibly daunting to play alts and try to get that in anything less than 40. And if you're not like someone who happened to have a character who already got 40 and can just send them off to every character you got, then you can't. You're just so far behind, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So what
it's a
they did
change they need to
was someone complained, Ian responded, I don't have a clip of it or anything like that, but he basically said, yeah, it's an issue, we're going to fix it. Next day, we found out about this.
make. Yep.
It's literally like 3 hours and 37 minutes per level if you stay on it.
And that, for most of us who've been playing for most of the expansion, it's not a problem. But if you have friends that are just getting into it now, they're so far behind compared to everyone else. They needed something. So honestly, I'm kind of surprised the lower ones weren't even faster. But this is definitely a help for sure.
So, speaking of turning in those 700 things, got me concordance on my vengeance, or on my havoc spec.
Nice.
So I would say grat, and why would you do that?
Why would I do what?
Turn them in now.
To get the
You
mage
literally-
tower?
You literally but you literally had 3 days from now, 4 days ish, to wait to turn them in.
Because I thought about it now.
On Tuesday, the legendaries that drop are 970 as opposed to now they're 940.
I didn't
if you
get
would've-
any legendaries.
Okay, but you could have, is what I'm saying. Wait the extra
Yes.
couple days, get the 30
I
item
don't
levels for
care
free.
about legendaries. I'd rather try the mage tower.
Yep. I'm with her. She did the right thing. If she got a legendary that she was actually going to wear right away, she would have had to go through the quest to get it done. But we don't even know how quickly those quest items are going to come this time. They may come much faster than they did the previous time we had to upgrade them.
I hope so.
So I think she did the right thing. So
I'd have
also
waited.
this week, time walking started, and it is Mr. Pandaria again. But a little birdie named Draven told me it's a little different this time. Why is it different, Draven?
It's not so much a walk in the park as it used to be.
See, I didn't find that.
Not a whole lot, but they did buff the Mr. Pandaria time walking. So you can't pull the entire instance now. Well, Scarlet, you might be able to for this week, seeing as how, Spirit Bomb. But you can't do that now. Stuff is actually gonna hurt a little bit. Like last time, you could literally go, I'm going to pull everything to the boss, everything to the boss, everything to the boss, and keep doing it like that. This time, however, they buffed it just enough where that might not be such a good idea.
Yeah, I did notice that the first boss on, and I can't remember the name of the instance now, but the one that's on the wall, it's not Nuzan Temple, but it's the one that is literally on the wall. But the first boss of that has the little traps.
The tree.
No, it has the traps. They look like little like hive things that fall on the ground
The-
and shoot fire in four
The first
directions.
boss is the bomb going, the one that throws
Right.
the bombs
Oh,
out.
that
Right.
one.
So
Okay.
that is probably needing a slight nerf because in a couple of my runs, as well as a couple runs I saw people streaming, people were just getting totally one shot by them without even being able to see them on the screen. So they may want to fix that one a little bit, but I agree. It should be a little bit more. And Tricky's talking about, I got one shot by him, and like literally I couldn't see what hit me. I was just all of a sudden dead. So they should probably fix that one.
Part of that, not all the bombs are showing up on the ground. Like I saw stuff that they're not showing up. But beyond that, people have forgotten he puts a bomb on somebody.
So the first time we were in there, I was trolling people, and I killed my whole party when I was on my paladin. The second time I was in there was the other night, and I was not on my paladin. I was DPSing, and I literally got one shot by one I couldn't see. But
So
yeah,
that
That's
was
called
basically
karma.
revenge.
that's karma.
That's called karma.
It was still funny, and yes, Galv pretty much soloed the boss because everyone else was dead. But literally, the first time I killed everyone else. This time, everyone died except Galv, and I don't think anybody was trolling us at the time.
Yeah, I did notice that one in particular is a little strong. All the rest of them are just as easy, especially that last boss is a cakewalk.
Yep.
But that first one is the hard one out of all of them. And that's only because the bombs are hitting too hard on top of you're not seeing all of them.
Yep. But I do like the fact that they make it a little bit harder. But the thing about it, yes, I did. The thing about time walking though is because of the way it scales. I don't know if they necessarily need to really try to make them harder because you're getting scaled down anyway. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that.
With the reward being what the reward is, which is a piece of normal gear, along with artifact power
And a token,
and a token. Fine. But the gear piece itself is why the scaling is there. I think.
Probably.
I didn't really.
It should be a little easier than it is. Like, it shouldn't be a complete walkthrough. We should scale down just enough. We're on, what is it, the third? The way I'm looking at it, we are geared in the, we'll call it second raid. So they should be scaled to whenever we were doing Throne. So if something wouldn't one-shot us in Throne of Thunder back in Pandaria, it shouldn't one-shot us now, is how I look at it. You were going to say something, Scarlett?
I honestly don't really remember it being that different before. The only thing I realize is you have to do mechanics, but I've always done mechanics, so
I pretty much
don't.
avoided them as much as possible when I was taking them. I pulled everything to the boss, and then, yeah.
Yeah, but with this one boss that we're talking about, is that first boss, you're not seeing all of the stuff that is mechanically you need to see. Something blows up, you kind of need to see that it's going to blow up. That's where I have the issue with it. But doing the mechanics, yeah, I mean, it shouldn't one-shot you unless there's like two bombs right in the same spot and they both hit you. Then that's technically not a one-shot, but, you know, having a little bit of, oh, you could die here, that's fine. Having a one-shot mechanic because you can't see something, though, not fine.
I think it's funny.
It's funny when it happens to somebody else.
Agreed. Funny when it happens to someone else. That's why I was trolling everybody. So, something cool was also discovered yesterday and then taken away. And then something else cool was discovered, I think, today or maybe yesterday. So, First off,
Last night, actually,
Okay.
the second one.
the Sun Darter hatchling pet was discovered in the Cavern of Consumption. I don't even know what that is. But
It's a cavern of consumption.
it's,
Come on.
It's like a rainbow darter, which is kind of cool looking.
Yeah, it's a sprite darter, nether fairy dragon type thing.
And
He's so cute.
go ahead.
I was just going to say the Cavern of Consumption is actually very well named, which gave some clues as to how to get through it. What were you going to say, Theory?
I was just going to say, if you want to learn how to get this, there's actually a link on Wowhead, which is where we're pulling this graphic from. You can
I will
click
try
on
to
the
put
link,
it in the notes. Yeah.
and it will tell you step by step what you need to do. Which
Get
it is.
Get an alchemist friend who has old stuff.
Yeah, that
Is
like
that-
I said, I
that-
am paying very well if you're on Airy Peak and have those recipes because the auction house doesn't have any, and you need a few because if you even accidentally jump off at the wrong time, you got to start all the way at the beginning again and get all those pots again.
So, the other thing that happened that was taken away was the actual source of a fishing lure and some sunglasses. No, it was a fishing bobber, right? Is that right? Fishing bobber
Fishing bobber, yeah.
was found and then taken out. So, tell us a little bit about that, Draven.
Okay, so they didn't solve the entire puzzle. They found one part of it. And that was because it finally got added. Well, it wasn't supposed to go live. They took the person out. You have to fish certain things in a certain area, close enough to the NPC, and you gain rep with that NPC, much like that fishing island off of Dalaran. Same concept, only different spot. Get a certain rep with it, you can move on to the next one, do the same thing, etc. and so forth. Eventually you get a cool fishing bobber that does something cool. It's a toy or something, I don't know. Honestly, I've spent almost no time fishing this expansion. I don't even have the fishing artifact thing. So it's there, but it's there for people who care.
Yeah, I still like stuff like that though. When they add stuff like that, I feel like they're putting things in for everyone. I agree.
Yeah.
I also haven't done
There's
that much fishing.
There's people who actually enjoy fishing. I'm not one of them. In Wrath of the Lich King, I was the person who, my job for the raid team besides DPS was make sure we have feasts. I spent some time fishing, got a turtle mount out of it. Awesome. But I was the one who did that. Some other people were like, you get these flasks, you get these flasks, you get these potions, you get these potions. We all came together as a group. You were responsible for the team's needs for this week of this. I volunteered for the fishing thing, the feast, because it was going to be the easiest thing. And I could make money off of my spares. So I've never really cared for fishing. I've done fishing. I get it up to max level. But beyond that, don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, I used to do that as well in Kata, fish in Wintergrass, and that's usually how I PvP'd when someone attacked me while I was fishing. So
Damn.
that pretty much takes care of us this week. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to talk about on the show this week?
Actually, there's one thing I want to comment on, and that is a certain shadow priest who never shows up to raid with potions, flasks, food, No, I'm kidding. I really don't care outside of progression night who has flasks and that kind of thing. But if you're going to comment about someone doing little or no DPS, you might want to actually out DPS that person from time to time. Just saying.
So if you would like to chime in on this little conversation, this is how you can do so. So at Epic Fail Podcast, we do love it when you contact us. So here's the ways that you can do that. We are at www.epicfailpodcast.com. On Facebook, you can find us at /podcast Epic Fail. Twitter is at Podcast Epic Fail. You can follow Draven at Draven Dresden on Twitter. You can follow Scarlet at Scarlet_CTR. And you can follow me, Theory, at Gank Theory, also on Twitter. Don't forget, you can find our podcasts on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. We look forward to hearing from you. Like how I just glossed right by that. Anyway, so
That was smooth. That was so smooth.
do you guys well, let's start over. Are you guys ready for shout-outs?
No, we forgot to talk about Hearthstone.
Oh, why did we forget to talk
I
about
asked
Hearthstone?
you prior to the show if you had anything for Hearthstone.
No, you said how much something or other did you want to ignore or something like that.
I specifically asked you about Hearthstone, and then I made a joke about being on my phone for it.
Exactly.
But I specifically
so I
asked you about
ignored
Hearthstone.
that.
You
I
could've-
don't really have much to talk about Hearthstone. I just really wanted to make a big deal. Theory's pretending to ignore this. There was no new Mulligans episode. I was sad. I was looking forward to that. That's all.
I think schedule-wise, we should get one next week, because it's like every other week or something like that.
No, it's been every week.
Oh, and we should be having one semi-soonish. Why, we can't see what you're doing, Theory.
Green screen's messing it up. It's downloading. I was gonna get some missions in. Sorry.
Oh, your Legion app?
Yeah, it's green, so it turned black. But so, are you done already? Like, are we ready to do shoutouts? That was very quick. There must not have been much news for Hearthstone. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, short of the weekly brawl, which we used to cover, but if there's a really cool one, then we still will. But short of that, they don't really update all that often. So it's like StarCraft and Diablo, where we would cover it if there was stuff.
Scarlet, who's your shoutouts?
So there was this, and yes, I am getting to a shout out. There was this forum post on the Overwatch forums, and the title of the thread was, "Yo, Blizz employees, do you even play, man?" And that was pretty much it. And then the rest of the post was like, "Yeah, what the fuck," or something like that. So in that post, Jeff Kaplan actually responded with, "So on my public account, I have 200 more games won than you in competitive, etc., etc."
800.
Whatever. He had a lot. So, he kind of called the guy out. The individual actually messaged Blizzard support to apologize to Jeff Kaplan. Blizzard support sent the message to Jeff Kaplan. Jeff Kaplan responded to the guy personally and gave him a year subscription to WoW as an apology for snarking at him. The guy doesn't play WoW, but he was allowed to give the code to somebody, like a random just person. And he did give him like a legendary Widowmaker skin in Overwatch
Okay,
as an
so
apology.
I just want to clarify something before you go too much further. The reason he got all that stuff was not just because he apologized. In the apology letter, he did have a huge, apparently really well detailed, this is, Widowmaker, how you could fix, he went into a lot of detail stuff. So it wasn't just the apology. That probably did factor quite a bit into getting stuff. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, Kanye.
We can say some
I'm gonna
really,
let you
really,
finish.
really crappy stuff, and they'll give us free stuff. If
No.
we apologize.
No, my whole point in this happening during shoutouts is I want to shout out to the people who sometimes get upset and then fix getting upset by apologizing and what have you in, say, competitive or whatever. First of all, don't get salty and competitive because it's hard to play the game as it is. But two, you know what? It's kind of cool that even the one guy, the person who started this, apologized, and the second one was also Jeff Kaplan also apologized for being snark. You know, so
his response was amazing.
yeah, but it was a little bit snarky, as in, if you are, you know, let's say Chris Metzen, someone had been like, yo, does Chris Metzen even play? And Metzen had, people would have jumped all over him.
All right.
So,
I'm going to let you finish, but I got to jump in because what he said is, we play the game a lot. Looking at your profile, I've won approximately 800 more games than you have. That's not counting the daily internal playtests I am in, the time I spent in alpha and beta. Did you have a specific question, or are you just here trolling? There is nothing wrong with this. Go ahead. Take your time.
it still is a little snarky from a public figurehead. I agree with it should have been said, but it still is a little snarky. However, long story short is two people had a fight, made up, they now get along, end of story. That's cool. Keep being cool, developers. That's my shout outs.
Okay. Well, I'm going to jump in for my shout out. I know, Theory, you usually go next. I'm going to shout out to all the blue posts that give those snarky comments. Those are the best comments on the forums 99% of the time. Whether they are, mood pending, like I was in a bad mood, you just caught the bad end of it. No, I don't care. Those snarky comments are hysterical. Don't go trolling Blizzard because they will troll you back. We have seen this many times. And guess what? They're also in charge of your account. So if you want to keep playing, you might not want to do too much either. But they're great. If I was on the receiving end of one, maybe I would feel bad about it. Okay, fine. But guess what? I freaking deserved it. I went there, whatever it was that I said. I would have deserved that. And then if it would have happened to somebody else, that comment would have been amazing. But because it happened to me, I'd probably feel bad, and then I'd be like, that was still kind of amazing. So my special shout out, is going to those posters who keep doing it. Whether they end up, giving out free game time for stuff. I would love a free year of game time. That'd be great. But I'm not going to ask for it or, anything like that either.
Yeah, I am going to give my shout out to Jeff Cap because his answer was amazing, and that's the answer that every other player besides this Jack person would have wanted him to say, and I'm glad he said it, and I don't think he needed to take it back, and I don't think they should give the guy anything for free. They can listen to his feedback. If you had good feedback, absolutely, good on you. You can apologize, good on you for apologizing for being a jerk, but definitely keep that type of response, Blizzard. It is not just humorous. It actually shows that you care about the game. And I'm pretty sure that everybody plays the game wants the people who make it to also care about it, because when the people who make it don't seem like they care about it, that's when everybody stops playing and plays something else. So, is that a show? Are we done? I think that might be a show.
Sounds like it's a show.
Okay. Do you have any last words?
I'm going to let you finish, but first.
Okay, bye. Hello, mother.
You know, the world could always use more heroes.